As an actor, as a Pakistani, as a Muslim, I couldn't have asked for a better launch pad than being part of the biggest franchise, Marvel, and being a part of Miss Marvel. I mean, I'm truly, truly, truly blessed.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful day today. My name is Talal, and you're listening to the Popcorn and Soda Podcast, the show where we discuss all things movies, pop culture, and so much more. I want to thank each and every one of you for making me a small part of your day. On today's show, we're joined by a very special guest. She is one of Pakistan's biggest creative artists. You've seen her in projects such as Punjab Nahi Jaungi, London Nahi Jaungi, and most recently making a transition to Hollywood in Marvel Studios' Ms. Marvel. She's an actress, a singer, and a humanitarian. On the show today, the very talented Mehwishhayat. How are you, Mehwish?
I'm good, Talal. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for coming to hang on the show today. I am so excited to have you on. How have you been over these last 2 to 3 years, Mehwish, as we continue to recover
Oh,
from the pandemic, floods in Pakistan, especially for someone like yourself in the arts? What did the last few years look like for you personally?
so Talal, pandemic was obviously tough for everyone, but especially for a workaholic like myself, who is 24/7 out and about, working, traveling. I went through a tiny phase of depression when it was all happening. But I would say the silver lining would be that I was able to spend time with my family, catch up with them because I used to miss out on all the big events. Every important occasion, I would either be on shoot or out of Pakistan. So I was able to actually really enjoy that time with my family, as well as a lot of self reflection on my part. My mother always says that you create your own destinies. And I that gave me a lot of time to focus on where I want to go in life. What now I have actually a plan next few years because of the time that I had during COVID to plan all these things ahead. So yeah, I think, and also the fact that I was shooting for Miss Marvel during pandemic when the
Yeah.
whole world was in shutdown. I was out there in Bangkok shooting for Miss Marvel. I felt truly blessed to be doing something amazing, and yeah, so pandemic was a mixture of a tough time where I was depressed for some time and I was at home and not working. But then after a few weeks, I was like, damn, this is good. I'm enjoying it. I needed it. It
I
was a
know.
pause that all of us needed. So I think it did me well.
My bad. And I'm glad that you're doing much better. I know it was a tough time for a lot of people at that time. And yeah, I think there's so many benefits with all the negatives that came with the pandemic that we can take out. And as you mentioned, just a lot of that self reflection. And as someone in the arts, you're always just so on the go. But now it's that little break where you're like, all right, what's really important to me and what do I want to do with my life? And of course,
Yeah.
nothing beats ghar ka khana always. So you know what?
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
I'm
I
glad you
am
had
a
that at
big
least.
fan of my Ammi ka ghar. Ammi ke haath ka khana is always the best thing ever. And
Oh,
there was a time
absolutely.
where I actually used to take mom's food to my sets, and not just me, but then there came a point where I used to take a small tiffin with me. Then it started becoming bigger, and then there came a time when the entire unit would be just waiting for Ammi's food, and yeah, yeah, it's amazing. I think food and ghar ka khana especially is what kind of brings us all together.
It really does, and
It's
it
truest
grounds
form of
us,
love.
and it really does. And that's it's so funny. I have the same story with myself. Like me and my brothers, we just love my mom's cooking, and she's like, I know everyone says their mom's the best cook, and yes, I'm sure they all are, but like my mom's such an amazing cook where you just it's home, right? And wherever you are,
Yeah,
even if you're not physically there with them, that food, it's just a
yes.
Pakistani thing.
It's
I
the
just love it.
comfort. Yeah, it's that comfort that nothing brings you.
Yeah,
Nothing else
absolutely.
brings you.
For sure. For sure. So, before we deep dive into your career, Mavish, I am so fascinated by your story. You're truly one of the biggest stars in Pakistan and someone who's transcended internationally, and that doesn't happen overnight. So, Where does this begin for you? What were some of your early influences, and ultimately, what led you to become an actress?
So my mother used to be an actress, and I think it all started when I went to the studio for the first time, and my mom was shooting for a drama project, and I was so fascinated by the sets, the lighting, everything that was being art, the way the art was being created, how it was so magical. It was a whole different world for me as a kid, looking at these people hard at work, creating something, and then seeing how you can make it so believable, even though those were sets, and I could see that if this wall is not real, and all of these things are created. But the fact that art makes you believe in this kind of magic that we create behind the screen, but the whole process of it actually was quite fascinating for me as a kid. And then it really started for me when I was 8 years old and I was in front of the camera shooting for a bubblegum ad. And that is when I felt that okay, this is what I really want to do, playing dress up and getting all the attention from the entire unit because I was the star of the ad, and I was like, okay, I like this. And then also the fact that I was so good in front of the camera, unlike other kids who would be shy. I was a shy kid, but in front of the camera something would change inside of me and I would just forget about everything around me and I would just be able to focus at that age even. And that's when I realized that okay, this is what I want to do. And then there was no looking back after that, really.
Well, one topic that I'm really interested in getting your thoughts on about is the identity of creative arts in Pakistani culture. And this is universal beyond just Pakistan. Like, literally, at this point, there's Pakistanis everywhere in the world, and our beautiful culture follows us wherever we go. But within our culture, there's almost this stigma when it comes to the creative arts, and for someone to want to pursue it as a career for most people, there is no roadmap on how to be successful in the arts. So sadly, they give it up. So, what are your thoughts on why that stigma exists? And specifically, like like you grew up in the art, so it was normal to you. But for a lot of other people, it's not the case. So, what do you think about that?
Yeah, for me, I come from a family which belong to show business and or all are involved in creative arts. For me, it was different. But at the same time, it was no different for my mother when she was working. And it back then wasn't even considered a profession to begin with, you
Yeah.
know. So, but then again, we all grew up watching Bollywood. We all have been fans of all these movies that we watched growing up. I think it was there for some time, but now things are finally changing, especially because of today's day and age where there are young kids creating content and art from the
Yeah.
comfort zone of their homes, with their mobile phones. I mean, it's something that there is some sort of acceptance now, which wasn't there, uh, back then, uh, a couple of decades ago, even. So things have changed. I hope they change. And the stigma attached to it needs to go because as any other profession it has its own pros and cons, but the fact that artists basically represent a nation, they are the gateway or a window to really get to know the people of that country. And I think with art we can do so much by telling our stories to the western audiences. And especially when it comes to art, I think for the longest time it was not respected the way it should be, but now
Yeah.
the perception is changing, people's mindset is changing, and uh, I'm only hoping for a better future for art in Pakistan.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up, Mavish, is because especially if you think about it now, let's say even like 10 years ago, a conversation like this, you're in Pakistan, I'm in Canada here, and literally the power of the internet connects us together, and like TikTok and YouTube bloggers. It's crazy, right? Like
Exactly.
everyone's an artist as long as you've got, one of these,
Yes.
you're all good, right? Anyone can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And I love that. And you know what? Let's shift gears to like the current state of the Pakistani film and TV industry. There's been the shift over the last 7 to 8 years where Pakistani dramas have always been at the forefront of the industry because of how well they're produced. But lately, Pakistani movies have been rocking it, like your films and Mulajat. In your eyes, what is the current state of the industry and where would you like for it to go?
Oh, so like you said, 7, 8 years ago, the revival was happening for Pakistani
Yeah,
cinema. And I'm honored and so proud of the fact that I was able to play a key role in that revival to happen. MashaAllah, all my movies were blockbuster hits at the cinema. And the fact that people go out and spend their hard earned money to watch uh, your work, I mean, that's one of the biggest rewards an artist can get. So since the revival, now, like you said, it's shifting. The scene has changed with
right.
Mola Jat, with London Nahi Jaunga, with all these movies making huge business at the box office. I think it only shows that there is an audience for the work that we're doing, even though with limited resources, with whatever we
Right.
had and have, we have been able to make some amazing work. Um, but at the same time, I also feel that these successes also mean that we do need to make films for Pakistan, but we also now need to shift the gear and make movies about Pakistan, which
Yeah.
can appeal to the global audiences, just like Miss Marvel did. I mean, there is this need for content from this part of the world, which is still not been discovered yet or explored yet the way it should. So it only means that we do have the potential, we have amazing talent, and all the resources that one needs to make good content. Just like South Korea has made such amazing
Oh,
work, and now they've emerged as this whole industry which nobody knew about. So I think for
yeah.
Pakistan also, they need to take cue from this and not just stick to our own home market, but also make stuff for the global audience. Just like even for Bollywood or Turkish projects or films,
Yeah.
you'd notice that their international projects are much more different than what they're making for their home market.
That's true.
So I
Hmm.
think we also need to take some risks, be more experimental, go out there and tell our stories. Really, like for the
Right.
global audience.
I love how you brought up South Korean dramas and movies because a show like Squid Game, right? It just
Yeah.
blew everything up. Like everyone was watching it, and of course we have our Pakistani representation in there with the character of Ali. So, like I was saying,
Yes.
Pakistanis are everywhere. So
Yes.
it's I love that, and I think it is time for maybe the Pakistani industry to kind of broaden a little bit more than just making regional films. And I think it's great. You can't
Yes.
lose the essence of our culture, but let's invite other people in other parts of the world to come watch our
Yes.
great industry, and I think that's so
Absolutely.
great. Yeah, so I'm curious. We just talked about it a little just now. What are your thoughts on the success of Mulajat? It was such a big spectacle, and unlike
Oh, wow.
any other Pakistani film we've seen recently or at all, such a big global hit. I remember watching it with my parents in the theaters, and people were just going crazy for it. What did you think of it?
I am so disappointed that I haven't watched it yet.
You haven't
I
seen it
have
yet?
not been able to, not yet, because for the past 2, 3 months since its release, in fact, I have been constantly traveling for work. And
Gotcha.
whenever I come back, I'm catching up with work here. And by the time I get done with the work here, I'm traveling again.
Starts
So,
again, right?
inshallah, in the next couple of weeks, I have some friends who also haven't watched it, and we'll go and watch. But I know the story, I know how it was made, and the fact that it was made 4 years ago and
Yeah,
it's still so relevant, so tastefully done. I mean, it's as good as any show on Netflix or international Hollywood movie. I mean, I'm really looking forward to watching it. But I think they've done a wonderful job and made us so proud. It just makes me feel so happy to see our industry. growing the way it is, mashallah, and the way people are loving our content. Molajit has really, really set a new standard for everyone in the industry, and it's a great feeling.
Yeah, no, I think you'll really enjoy it. I just the way your movies, the way your performances are, I think it's you'll have a good time with it. And as someone who has been on and off with the Pakistani industry, with watch either seeing my mom watch Pakistani dramas and I kind of peek in and watch some of them with her, and then Pakistani movies making the comeback. I was actually pleasantly, lack of a better word, like I don't want to say surprised, but I was just
Mm.
amazed at how well made it was. And like you said, it was made like 4 years ago, and yet it still
Yeah,
looks so
the
contemporary with
quality,
all the
everything,
things. Oh,
yes.
phew, blew me away. It was definitely a great movie, and I think it's great. I think we need more of that, and the more we invest
Yeah.
in the Pakistani cinema, I think the more we'll get
Mm,
projects like that. So fingers crossed, we'll see you in one of
absolutely.
those soon.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. So hey, let's transition back to you and a role of yours that I just absolutely love, and that was Aisha in Miss Marvel. Here you are, making the jump from Lollywood to Hollywood. This is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? This is the biggest franchise in the world, and now you're forever a part of it. Do you remember originally reading for the role and what drew you to this project?
Okay, so I actually, it's funny because I was traveling to the US some years ago, and that's a long time ago, and I picked up this Miss Marvel comic book just randomly, and I still have it somewhere in my shelves. And I was like, when I saw Kamala's character, I was like, this is the character that's speaking to me, and I wish they make a movie or something out of it.
Yeah.
Some years later, like they say in memes, few moments later. So it was a few years, a few years later, it was announced. And I applauded Marvel for taking that step. And when I found out that Iman Vellani is playing the role of Kamala Khan, I was so happy to see the right, authentic person to be playing someone who's from Pakistani origin to be playing a Pakistani character. Um, and little did I know, even then, when I was appreciating them, that I would be a part of this project. So when I was offered Miss Marvel, my team was contacted and they sent an audition for me to record and send, which I did. But I couldn't still tell what the character is, what is it about, because they made sure they kept it ambiguous
Right.
and not really
Mm-hmm.
giving away anything. And then we had a lot of conversations on Zoom, but I honestly did not know much about it until I was in Bangkok in quarantine at Anantara, all with the entire unit. And that's when I started getting the scripts. I knew about the character, but I did not know what potential it has or how Aisha is going to pan out as a character. But when I
Mm-hmm.
started reading it in Bangkok, I was in tears. I was like, God, I'm being able to play this role, which so many people auditioned for in South Asia. A lot of actors did. And to be able to play such a key role in Kamala's story, her origin story, and not only that as an actor, but also being able to represent Pakistan. And because I have been speaking up about the misrepresentation of Pakistanis and Muslims in particular in the
Mm-hmm.
West, and how we have always been shown as the villains or the ones who are creating trouble,
Yeah.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think so. Being able to be a part of a project that shows us Pakistanis in the right, uh, the way we are, basically, I think it was a moment of joy for me and a moment of pride to be able to be a part of such an iconic
Right.
story that will be remembered forever, which represents us in the true light. But at the same time, the great thing about it is that Pakistanis were cast for Pakistani roles, which never happened before. So
Yeah.
Marvel needs to be applauded to have taken that step and given us that kind of platform or exposure that we needed. I guess this gave, I hope it gave actors in Pakistan um, this kind of hope and reassurance that you need to look beyond borders. It's you can't just be short-sighted, but also
Right.
look beyond borders. And if I can do it, you can do it too, right? So that, and also for people in Hollywood to get to have that kind of confidence to, after having seen us, to have that confidence to cast actors from Pakistan. So I think a lot came out of this project. The fact that it represented us in a beautiful way. Karachi, I'm from Karachi, and my city was shown in the series. There was this really nice wedding scene where you could
Mm-hmm.
see the audiences, the Western audiences could see how we celebrate also our food and our
Yeah.
music. Such amazing music in the show from Pakistan. So I think it really opened up a lot of doors for all of us. And I have so many more reasons to be proud of the show. But I think as an actor, as a Pakistani, as a Muslim, I couldn't have asked for a better launch pad than being part of the biggest franchise, Marvel, and being a part of Miss Marvel. I mean, I'm truly, truly, truly blessed.
Yeah, and it doesn't get bigger than Marvel, right? And like you literally took the words out of my mouth. That's what I love the most about the show. And being Pakistani and growing up here in Canada, there aren't many westernized depictions of Pakistani culture in media. And just like you said, it's always, the bad guy or
The
someone just,
stereotypical, yeah,
yeah, there's like no depth to it. It's just, they like almost Googled what a Pakistani looks like and they just put that on the screen. It's
yes,
never accurate. And what I love is like this show is like still the highest rated show on Rotten Tomatoes for any of the MCU shows. And I love
yes,
that because people are drawn to our culture and they were exposed to our culture. So I take so much pride as someone who wasn't even part of it, but as part of like the larger scope of the creative arts that hey, we finally
yeah,
have something that we can be proud of. Because there's
yes.
Sri Lankan shows, there is Indian depictions, but we never had that Pakistani depiction, and I think it was done so tastefully and so right.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the attention to detail from the producers, from my director Shamina Bechinoy, and the rest of the directors on the show, they've all done such a wonderful job. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really proud of all of the people involved as well as the entire project itself.
So yeah, I'm really fascinated because you shot this during like the peak of COVID. So as an actress, like, what was your experience like? Was it little like, odd seeing people wear masks, keeping a distance? Like overall, just walk me through a day on
Talal,
set.
it was scary. It was okay. So during during our quarantine, we were supposed to send our temperature, body temperature, twice, thrice, and then it became twice after a week.
Mm,
And we wwere only given like 40 minutes after 7 to 8 days of constant testings. We were able to go downstairs to the pool area for 45 minutes. And that's when I actually got to know the rest of the team members, and I got
right,
to spend time with them. And then after 40 minutes, which would just go like this in a blink of an eye, there would be people in all in their gears and all those white COVID, what
like
they
what was
used
it,
to call
the
it. I'm sorry.
masks or like the shields and everything that they
Yeah,
had.
yeah, the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
entire,
Like the
yes,
hazmat
and they would
suits
come.
almost. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the hazmat suits. Yeah, and then they would come and start asking us to go, and we would feel like we are prisoners or something. We're like, no, just 5 more minutes, please. But and after that, on set, when we were able to go out and work, oh, so many precautions that we had to take,
Yeah.
so many tests. Every day we would get tested. I was so annoyed by the number of times they would put that
In
thing
your
in my
nose and
nose.
yeah, I know. Yep.
Oh God. And then it went on for, and then we had red zone, yellow zone. So actors and director and producers, all the main key people were in the red zone, which meant that we were double tested and everything. Like we were the
Right.
safest. But then also they wanted to keep us safe from other people coming into that space. So it was, the way they did it was so professional and so well that the only uncomfortable part was for me to get tested with that thing.
Oh, I bet.
Otherwise, I was actually, because we were all so scared because of COVID, I felt so comfortable knowing that not only me, but everyone around me is COVID free, right? So
Right.
just
Mm.
knowing that and having that assurance kind of made me feel better. And it made us all feel safe in that environment when we were working. But yeah, I still have videos from that all that happening. And I still think, man, it was only like 2 years ago. It seemed like we
Yeah.
landed in some other on some other planet altogether.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I
So
mean,
it
it's like
was
it's literally like
interesting.
yeah, 2 years ago, like you mentioned, it just it feels like a lifetime ago, but it was literally just two
Yeah,
years ago, right?
2 years ago. Yeah. But not again.
No, no, not again. Everyone do your part. Just no more. Just like
Please,
get
yes.
vaccinated. Do what you
No
want. Just
more.
stay safe. But you know
Yeah.
what?
Stay
It's
safe, everyone. But I
yeah, that's
like,
it. Same
Talal, the
thing.
fact that we have all become very hygienic. I mean, I always
Oh,
was because even before COVID, I used to use
like what Lysol, like
sanitizers and
wipes and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I was very, very careful about all of this. But I think generally people have become more careful with their hygiene. They take better care of hygiene now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's another plus that came out of it. For the people who already did it, they're even more aware. And I guess for the people that didn't, hopefully now they are
They're
more
not
aware
doing
of it.
it.
Because totally. Because if you think about it, I think just there's so many, again, so many positives that come out of this. Again, no positive joke. But just generally speaking, I just think that it's good that we take away things that we learned from this, and I think that's great, especially on a set, because I've spoken to so many creatives that even are working in Hollywood and how serious everyone took it because of again your livelihood depends on this. So I'm glad to hear that everyone was so on point with it because the
Yeah,
show has to go on, but again,
it
health and
has to go
safety is
on.
first. It does, right? So,
Yes.
yeah, you know what I love about the show is it doesn't just have one of our brightest talents. It has two of them, and that is the great Fawad Khan. So, what was it like to work alongside him?
There was Fawad Khan, there was Nimra Butcha, Samina Ahmed, Warda Hassan. I mean, we had all these lovely
Everyone,
actors
yeah.
from Pakistan,
Mm-hmm.
but my scenes were mostly with Nimra and Fawad and Farhan. It was just wonderful working with him. Funnily enough, we had never worked together before
I was gonna
for
ask you
any
that because I'm
Pakistani
fairly sure you guys
project.
haven't done anything together, right? And here we are in Hollywood. Marvel brings
Never.
us two together.
Yeah, I think that's what happened really. It took us it took a Hollywood project for us to come together. And the way it did, the chemistry, the kind of this combination I think really worked. As an actor, I really enjoyed working with him because he is someone who's more of a team player, and working with him, I got to learn so much about him. He learned about me. And during those reading sessions, we were able to get more comfortable with each other. And by the time we were on set shooting for the scenes, I mean, it a good performance really depends on both the actors that are involved in the
Right.
scene. It has to be balanced, and it has to be from both of them. And with him, I felt really comfortable. I didn't feel like I was working with him for the first time. So professional. He was so humble, and someone who actually helps create the scene and not be like, okay, I'm gonna, take the scene from her and make, no surprises there. He was really good with all the scenes. I think it's because of him that I was able to play Aisha so beautifully because Hassan, his character, made Aisha, my character, so comfortable
Mm-hmm.
during the shoot that I was able to perform to my fullest.
Yeah, and I love that because it's just like you mentioned, you guys haven't performed together before, but the chemistry you guys built is just it was so beautiful to watch in that show, and
Yeah,
I love it. I absolutely loved it. So
thank
we kind of
you.
got the full arc of your story in the episodes that you were in, but do you think there's a future or potentially like some sort of prequel or anything? Would you like to return to the character of Aisha in any other MCU depiction?
So Talal, Aisha dies in the show, as you saw, but our wonderful DOP, Jules, said to me, I was getting really sad. Oh, Aisha dies.
I know, right? Yeah,
But he said, you know what? No one really dies in MCU, in the
yeah.
Marvel Cinematic Universe. You never know. And I was like, yeah, he's right. I can always come back, and Marvel is coming back. Miss Marvel is coming back in 2025. So
Yeah.
watch this space, maybe, maybe in this
And
show, maybe in some other show. Let's see.
yeah, no, totally, totally. 'Cause especially with the multiverse and all these crazy things that they're doing now, where like you mentioned, no one really dies. And when I was watching the episode, I'm like, oh man, you were so great in it that I didn't want your character just to end there. But again, who
Yeah.
knows? There could be
Who knows?
wink, wink. Yeah, who knows? Something can
The
happen.
fact that I
So
didn't turn into the fact that I didn't turn into ashes, there's still hope.
there's still hope. So if anyone from
There's still
Marvel
hope.
is listening, please, we want Mavish back on the show. So please hit her up. Thank you. So here, Mavish. So what's next for you? I know you spend a lot of your time raising awareness for multiple different charities and causes you
Yes,
support.
yes.
In terms of film and TV, what kind of projects do you want to do next?
So, Bilal, I try to use whatever influence that I've been blessed with. Um, I try to use that to bring some sort of betterment or the change in the society and to improve people's lives through my words, through my actions, through my work. So, when it comes to work as well, I try to do projects that are meaningful, that can make an impact. Um, so, with my work, I'm the next movie that I'm working on addresses some really important issues that are prevalent in our society. And with that, there's a lot of other work being done to tackle that issue on a government level. I mean, it's not just a movie that will be for the audience, but it is also in the end help with the problem that is happening with the combination of officials and government people helping with that cause. So it's a great step, I think, from the producers to be doing something so brave and something that has not been done before. But also, what I'm doing is I've set up a company in the UK. It's called a film company, which is called Pink Llama Films. And with that, I am going to be telling stories that I've been wanting to, because I'm not one of those who would just talk about something or complain or whine and just sit down.
Yeah.
I thought I would take the mantle in my own hand and just go with it and tell the
Do it.
stories that I want to. So that's the whole purpose of launching that film company. And with that, I think a lot of exciting projects are coming up, which are on our slate. So watch this space.
Where did that name come from? What inspired it? I'm so curious about that.
There's a long story, but llamas have had. I always think that llamas are underrepresented.
Yes, of course. Yes, llamas.
and
Yes.
and yeah, yeah, yeah. Also, they're unique. They're so cute, but at the same time, so powerful. I mean, there is this backstory to it as well, but it's something that I cannot
You can
share
tell me off the
openly,
air. Don't worry.
maybe
You can
off
tell me off the
air.
air after.
but
Don't worry. It's all good.
but yeah, but with Pink
You-
Llama Films, I think the future is pink for sure.
Right on. Good stuff. Watch this space. Now, one thing that I've really enjoyed about our conversation, Mavish, is that I think people sometimes forget that you're a human being too. They see this superstar in Mehwishhayat, this massive celebrity, but at the end of the day, like everyone else, you have your good days, you have your bad days, you have feelings,
Mm.
you work hard to provide for your family, and I think it's so great that you're so open about that side of you and promoting positive mental health because with the amount of negativity that there is in the world and God, especially in social media, it can get very difficult, especially for a public figure to go through that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's the same. The bullying and harassment that happens on social media. It's exactly the same as we were in school as kids, and other kids would bully us like in person
Right,
physically.
right.
But here, even though I'm in the safe space, in a safe space, in comfort of my home, they still, because of this,
Yeah,
have access to bully or harass.
yeah,
But with that, I mean, to be able to do what I have done in my life, I've achieved, and I still have set high goals for myself. I have a really thick skin. I've built it over the years, but not everyone can do that, right?
Right.
So people need to realize, because it's social media is a very powerful tool. I mean,
Oh, oof.
it is a blessing, but then also it's a curse if not used in the right way. All
Mm-hmm.
I want to say to people that are hearing us on this podcast is that, words, we really underestimate words. Words actually have the power to uplift someone, to empower someone, to really make someone. But on the other hand, words also have the power to destroy someone, and in a way that it can even take forever for them to recover from it.
Yeah.
So all I would say is that everyone's fighting their own battle. Everyone has a journey that they are on, but no one knows about. I mean, people see my success, the end result, but they don't see the blood, sweat, and tears that go into
Right.
it, endless hours. Especially being an artist, we are tested emotionally, physically, mentally. Um, and it's not easy what we do. But with anyone, any human being who has emotions, feelings, can get hurt. And that's what we need to realize before saying something harsh. Just stop for a second or a minute. Just think how it can really affect the other person. And would you like someone to say this to you? If someone in return said the same to you, would you be the ones who are trolling or the ones who misuse or bully or harass? They wouldn't like it if the same is done to them.
Right.
So why have different standards for yourself and for others? I mean, it's the same with everyone.
Yeah.
It's all about kindness. Being a good human being is more important than any race, gender, or ethnicity, I feel. And especially with, like, there was this really nice quote. I remember who it was. Oh, Eddie Murphy's clip from some movie where he
Okay.
says, you know, uh, you got 75 years if you're lucky and healthy
Oh,
enough
I
on
just
this
saw that like
earth.
two
Do you
days
remember
ago.
this
It's
one?
look, it's
Yeah,
wild that you bring that up. I literally shared
that
that on social like
that
2 days ago. That's crazy, eh?
the lol that made me cry, literally. I mean, imagine, especially with after COVID, I have realized that life is fickle. I mean, anything can happen at any moment.
Yeah.
So why spend the limited time that we all have um, on this planet Earth? 75 years is just like, people go on to live for 100 years as well, but that's rare,
Yeah.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I mean, if you've seen that quote, how beautifully he says that.
Oh.
Just imagine you've got 75 seasons to go through, and all these years, if you imagine, it's not too much time that we have. So live a life
Mm-hmm.
of purpose, live a life that comes from awareness of knowing yourself, but also understanding others as well, being empathetic, being accepting, being an empath really helps to understand where the other person is coming from. And I think we need to judge less.
Oh yeah.
If anything, just try to improve yourself. I think in as a domino effect, it will have an impact. I mean, I think a lot of people think that, oh, it doesn't matter what I say. But when the same thing is being generated and said by 100 people, it becomes a voice. It does
It
have an impact.
does. Yeah.
So once we realize the power of our words and the fact that our time on this earth is very short, we just need to try to bring happiness to people's lives. We as entertainers try to entertain people, and we try to bring that joy into people's lives. But all as artists we expect or need is respect and love. I mean, that's all everyone needs, really. Just be more kind. I think that's all I'm going to say to these people who believe that they can hide behind anonymity and hurt someone. And I don't know how it makes them feel better. But,
Yeah.
you know, just be kind, really, and live a life of purpose.
That's beautiful, Mehwish, and I love you brought up all those things. And this reminds me of a quote. Now that we're talking about quotes, is like in a world where you can choose anything, choose kindness. And
Absolutely.
I think it's so much easier to just be kind than to be hateful and spiteful. Like, could you imagine how much energy you have to take out to have that in you?
Exactly. And to pour that out, that means how much of it is inside of them.
Yeah.
So at times I really feel sorry for them because I understand that no one can really even get, no one can grasp the kind of life we lead, the kind of work we do. But at the same time, it's not very difficult to use your brain and just kind of self-reflect before
Yeah.
saying, before doing that, and not and choosing not to be kind and being spiteful or hateful. Just for a minute, of think where that is coming from.
Right.
And I think though that why is going to help them in avoiding so much shit in their own lives.
Yeah. Totally.
It's very simple, but it really works. It's effective. And kindness, an act of kindness goes a long way. I have tried it all my life. I have experienced it all my life. Just be kind. If you can help someone, help someone. If you can't do it physically, try to do it with your words. If you cannot, just with any tiny gesture, if you can make someone smile, bring a little happiness in someone's life. I think that's what makes living worthwhile and being a good human being. Not being able to have, I mean, people do have opinions, there's no harm in sharing it. But
Sure.
as far as that opinion and criticism is for work that I do, I'm okay. But if they're going to start questioning my character or my moral values, that I won't ever accept or let anyone do that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't, I'm such a non judgmental person myself, but I hope people would judge less and be more kind generally.
Yeah. I love it. And that's beautiful. We're gonna end that conversation on those wise words because again, it's so much easier just to be kind. And if you are in a situation where you want to be a troll or you want to send a tweet or a text or anything, hey, if you even typed it out, just give it a second. Put your phone down, give it a day. I'll guarantee you the next day you will not want to actually post it and send
Yeah,
it.
yes. Or maybe the words would be more rational. The words would be more, you know,
Less
it might
harmful,
get
maybe
your
there
point
could be,
less
yeah.
harmful, you get your point across, but do it in a way that doesn't hurt the other.
Yeah,
I think that's easily achievable if one sets themselves up for it.
it really is. Well, hey, as you wrap up with the great Mehwishhayat, it is now time for a segment I call the final act. Mehwish,
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you 10 rapid fire questions about your likes and your dislikes. And I just want the first thing that pops into your mind. But here's the catch. I'm gonna give you 1 minute to try to get through them all. You up for it?
Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm up for it.
You got it. Movies or TV shows? What do you prefer?
Oh, okay. Both? Can I say both?
Both. Watch at home or at a theater?
Oh, after COVID, I've been I've been feeling more comfortable watching content on TV in the comfort zone of my home. But the experience of being in a cinema and watching a movie in cinema with the cinematic experience, I think nothing beats that.
Favorite TV show?
Miss Marvel.
Favorite Hollywood movie?
Okay, it has to be Titanic, and there's a story behind it. So that was the first movie I watched as a kid with my family, and it was my first experience watching a movie on the big screen. And I just instantly fell in love with both the characters and with Jack and Rose. And then I remember I got so obsessed. I had posters, their posters. I had my pencil case was with had their photo. My school bag had their photos, and I just went crazy. crazy. And now when I think if I watched it now, I would not feel the same way. But imagine a young kid watching Titanic on a big screen for the first time. I was crying my eyes out, and I think it really made an impact on me, and it
That,
stayed with me forever. I think so. Yeah.
this is wild, Mavish. That was the first movie I watched in the theater with my family as well. So this is like mind blown.
And
Like,
if you
wow.
remember, that time was a breakthrough for
It,
for
that was
alert.
it's like the biggest movie I've ever seen. Because like when you're a kid and you watch it for
Yes,
the first time, you're like, what is this? Could
it
Jack have
is.
fit
Yeah.
on the door?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. According to the recent research that the director did, he actually could, and I
Well, there
always
we go.
felt that he could.
He
I
could have. I
always
think
felt that he
DiCaprio.
could. He could have. Yeah.
All right. Oh well.
but
Well,
but
hey,
you know, I think yeah, as per the recent research, I think there was this whole experiment that was done to see if he could have survived,
I saw
and
it.
they
Yeah.
were like, yeah, he could have. Yeah, you saw that, right?
Favorite Pakistani dish.
Okay, biryani, hands down, and
Nice.
paya,
Favorite dessert.
kheer.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
No.
Bam.
I'm not a
Love it.
big pizza fan, but never with a pineapple
I
sprinkled on it.
totally agree
No.
with you on that. 9 out of 10 people I ask that question to, they all say yes. So I'm glad we can still remain friends with you saying no. So we're good.
Yes. Yes.
We're good. Here's a trick one. Favorite superhero besides Miss Marvel.
Iron Man.
Describe your career in the arts in one word.
I would say that I am superhuman.
Bam, I like that on the topic of superheroes. All right, we'll take it. Lastly, I think I know what
Yeah.
you're going to say, but who is going to win the PSL this season?
Oh, oh God, that's a difficult question. Hmm. If I didn't say Karachi, the people of Karachi.
Do you want me to edit this out?
But you know what? I really want to be honest, I really want to see Lahore Qalandars win
Who knows? Maybe they
because
can recreate.
they've been yeah, yeah. They deserve to win, really, for
All
all
right.
that they have endured for the past seasons. I think, yeah, yeah.
Friends from Karachi,
But
please do
may
not be upset
but
at
probably
Mavish.
Karachi might win. I would like Lahore Qalandars to win because I feel that they deserve to this time. But also Karachi could be the winner for this season. For this,
Mavish with the
yeah.
safe answer there, guys. So for everyone freaking out there for a second, she still thinks Karachi could
See,
win.
it's
So
listen, Talal. Whoever wins, no matter who wins and who loses, it's all Pakistani teams. So
there we
really
go.
doesn't make any difference. Pakistan wins at the end of the day.
There we go. I
So
like that. Pakistan wins in all of this. There we go.
yes.
Bam. Hey, baby, you killed it at that. And you know what? Since you were such a great first time guest, I will let go the 1 minute time clock because we're probably clocking in at 3 minutes at this point. But hey, who's counting? We had a fun time.
Yeah.
Got to learn all about your love of biryani and kheer.
Oh
Next time
God.
you're in Canada, I swear you have to try my mom's biryani. Literally, like I'll give you tiffin boxes to take back with you. That's how good it
Oh
is.
my God,
You'll
please,
fall in love
yes.
with it.
I'm gonna actually do that. I do that a lot. If I go, actually, with Sharmeen as well. Sharmeen
Yes.
is a dear friend, and the chef at her home makes some amazing food. So whenever I go to any dinner or something, I am always there for the food. And this is a joke that she always makes that, okay, she's only here for the food. And there has been a couple of times when I liked something so much that I got it packed and took it home.
Hey,
So yeah, I mean, there's no shame when it comes to food.
I love it. And Mavish, thank you so much for being a guest on the show today. And
Thank you,
as a
Talal.
Pakistani, my pleasure. And as a Pakistani creative on the other side of the world, your work transcends borders. It really does. And I'm so happy and appreciative for all the great things that you do to push the creative arts forward. Your work is impacted, and I feel the impact on a show from like Miss Marvel and some of the opportunities that I've gotten just besides that, all the good humanitarian work that you do, because that's at the end of the day what's most important. I truly wish you all the best. And you know what? I look forward to having you back on the show to discuss your next project.
Absolutely. Thank you, Talal. I had such a good time.